the Mind of Basketball Podcast, aka the M.O.B podcast. I'm Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this is our basketball podcast where we recap, break down, analyze players and teams from the previous games from the previous day. How are you, Ja? This New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve.
Happy New Year's to you too, Evan. I'm good. I'm good like always. Just hopefully I'm still alive before the end of this year.
Why you say shit like that? What is wrong with you?
I'm just saying anything can happen. God forbid.
Yeah, but no one just thinks about that constantly.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
What do you mean I don't know that?
And you don't know what other people are thinking, really. You don't know that.
I know other people are thinking about that constantly. Got something wrong with. Well, I guess that's why you said that. But nonetheless. Oh, I hope everyone's having a good day. What you said?
You just love throwing slights at me, don't you?
You set me up, so I got to swing. I hope everyone's having a good day. I hope we'll have a good day. Like I said, Happy New Year's Eve to everyone. It's reaching the end of the decade. End of the decade. The end of the year that felt like a decade. It's been a long, long year, and finally we get to close it out. So let's close it out by talking some basketball.
Yes, sir.
All right. So first, we'll talk about the Bucks and the Heat. Bucks and the Heat game that happened last night. The rematch of the blowout to slaughter that happened 2 nights ago, where the Bucks set an NBA record, and the Heat came out with a lot more energy and a lot more enthusiasm and was hitting a lot of their shots, a lot more team play, a lot more effort. And in a shocker, they beat the Bucks and closed out this game late in the fourth quarter, beating them 119 and 108. So, Ja, let me get your thoughts on you. Let me get your thoughts on this game.
Yeah, well, they needed a bounce back. Again, this last game did not embody who they are as an organization, and they were able to prove it now. You could see from early on their defense. Their defense did a lot, but yet as I say that though, their defense, even though they had good defense, the Bucks were still able to hit their shots, especially from the 3-point line. But then, as you've seen over time, their defense generated their offense, and then they were able to get a flow within and then just generate their shots, find their spots, move the ball. And everyone was balling, basically. Everyone was balling, doing their thing. So this was a good win by the Heat. Good way to come back.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's happy now. I can guarantee you that. Pat Riley's happy. Eric Spoelstra happy. And as I was saying, yeah, the Heat. I was shocked at how well they were able to bounce back so quickly, like a tale of 2 nights. Like I knew they were going to bounce back, but I didn't expect this in this way. I had the Bucks winning still. I mean, They didn't have Jimmy Butler, and yet they played like they had him. They stuck true to their system. You saw the effort. You saw the energy out there. You saw Spoelstra, coaching them up as he always does. Clearly, this was they had a talk or whatever. They had a discussion about what happened the previous night and how to bounce back from the previous night. Because you could tell, you could see the difference in how they were playing.
Exactly.
Very different. It's like almost 2 different Heat teams. This was the Heat that we saw in the playoffs last year. This is the Heat that we know. This is how good they can be. This is not a one-man team that they have. They have great players on their team. As you saw, Dragic, he played great. Tyler Hero, Bam, Avery Bradley had a really good game last night. It was his best game so far in Heat uniform.
Yeah, even the new people. Talk about Ochoa. And I forgot his name. Some other dude. We're just gonna call him the light-skinned dude. I don't remember
Gabe
his name.
Vincent?
Yes.
Okay. What about them?
They were balling out. They were being good contributors in some kind of way to impact this game.
Yeah, their new additions really helped them. And as I said, Avery Bradley was really, really knocking down shots, almost like he was in the Celtics form. Which I like to see because I always liked Avery Bradley and I always liked this game. Yeah. But yeah, as for the Bucks, Giannis did play great, and they did have a really good first half, but Middleton was struggling. He really, really had a bad game. And I think that really was a big contribution as to why they lost. because they need their pieces to be in. Middleton is a vital part of their offense, a vital part of their system. It's because Giannis is always getting the attention, so not a lot of people's focus on Middleton because Giannis is Giannis, back-to-back MVP, and he has to have that focus on him. So that's why when Giannis kicks it out to Middleton, Middleton needs to make his shots. When all the pressure's on Giannis and Middleton has the ball, he needs to be able to make his own shot and form his own space and create space and all that. But when he's not able to do that, then it's like, oh, we don't have to worry about him. Let's keep our focus on Giannis now, like we've always been doing.
And again, give credit to the Heat's defense. They clamped up on him. They got into his space to make sure he wasn't able to do what he usually does. Because again, his skill set is made for you to get for a player to constantly get buckets and help close out a game. And the Miami Heat made sure to disrupt that, knowing what happened to them the last game, in which he had 25 or 28 points. And most of those was just pure shooting. So they made that a big emphasis. And not only that, they also limited Holiday in a way from doing what he had to do.
Especially in the second half. They really did a good job at limiting. They said, okay, Giannis going to get his no matter what. So how about we just stop everyone around him? And that's what they did. And that's how they was able to win this game defensively.
Exactly.
At least. But all right, as I said, a great bounce back win from the Heat after an embarrassing blowout performance. And as now you know that they're not just a one-man team. They're dangerous with Jimmy Butler or without him. All right. The next game that happened last night, which is the primetime game, which was what?
Nothing.
The Clippers and the Blazers. And this was an interesting game because of what happened in the bubble. And that regular season bubble game with Pat Bev laughing and the PG tweeting and all that. And then, Damian Lillard just turning it up right after. So this was an interesting game and a good game to look out for. And also, Kawhi Leonard returned. And I thought, masked Kawhi Leonard. I thought that was Hannibal Lecter, but I mean, it wasn't the prettiest mask. It kind of looked like something out of a horror movie. But I expect nothing less from Kawhi.
It looked like something that you could get from the 99-cent store or something, man.
The commentator said something that you can get at the Silence of the Lambs auction.
No, he did say that.
But yeah, like I said, this was an interesting game, and it looked like the Clippers was able to pull away late in the second. Well, they started to pull away late in the second quarter, but then they really solidified that in the third quarter. Paul George had a big game, really good. The Clippers have been playing good for the exception of that loss.
That horrific, embarrassing, never to be brought up.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are focusing on just that loss. Yeah, but we have to look at what the Clippers have been doing besides that. They've been playing really good basketball. They really have. I think every game that they played and they won by double digits.
Yeah,
you can't excuse that.
Yeah, and it goes to say, but like you explained this, right? We always talk about this. Being in the situation that they were in last year, being a part of LA, all this, being probably the worst franchise outside of Minnesota in NBA history. It's just like, when things like, even though they've been playing so great, when the negative things happen, you hear all of it. And I think that's the reason why people saw that bad moment right there, and they ready to attack them for that one specific moment and just ignore the fact that they've been balling out prior to that loss and after that loss.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's good in order to attack them, and it's fun to make jokes about them, but it can't be one-sided. You got to give the credit when the credit is due, and they've been really playing well. I know that loss is terrible, but as I said, I'm hoping, and I see that it's an aberration.
Yeah, I look at it like this, right? Like, it was like the ugly sister growing up, and then she was about to fail herself, and then something had to happen to humble her. So I had to have it to humble her.
Well, makeup isn't permanent. So eventually it had to come off.
Yeah, it had to come off eventually. He was like, I could just put it on again tomorrow. It's fine.
That's what they're doing right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, Paul George, he's been playing really good basketball this season so far. He felt like he's in rhythm. He felt like he's in his comfort zone again. You know,
Yeah.
kind of like reminiscent of the MVP candidate Paul George that we saw in OKC.
Mm-hmm.
You know, creating his own space, not forcing shots, first finding his rhythm, and then taking usually more uncomfortable shots that he usually takes. But instead
Yeah.
of starting off with those, you get in your rhythm first. And then
Yeah.
once you get in your rhythm, it feels like every shot is comfortable for you, even the
Yeah.
uncomfortable shots. And that's what he's been doing the whole season. No matter what, 3-point shots, mid range, posting up, driving, it doesn't matter. He's just been really hooping. And that's what I love to see by Paul George.
Yeah. And it's because after a year of being within this culture, it's a different system now though, because they did put something in place that we saw beginning of the season in terms of again the triangle and playing around the mid range and working from started from inside and then going outside. So like it's things like that. But like he's finally found his fitting in which he could feel more comfortable and be more lively into what we usually used to see him do. Last year, he didn't feel like that much because again, he was coming off an injury and he was trying to get himself back in. Don't forget last year he kept saying he felt uncomfortable in a way. Like he didn't feel like he was fitted with the team as much. But now you can see that he's well adjusted in a way. And he's able to do things that you just pointed out. Create his own shot, move without the ball, get into the mid range, attack the basket when it's time. And then when you get into that rhythm, that flow that you used to get into, now you could start to do things that people probably never saw you do before. And it just go from there.
Yeah. As for Kawhi, he's back. And you can see that he's back. He had a really good impact on this game. I mean, of course, he had an impact on this game. He's Kawhi Leonard. He's one of the best players right now. He's one of the best two-way players of all time.
Mm-hmm.
And he showed his impact defensively, offensively, the attention that he creates,
Yeah.
the shots that he's able to make, space he's able to create, like everything. Kawhi Leonard, they need him on this team. And you see what happens when he's on this team.
Yeah. Kawhi is gonna be Kawhi all the time,
Huh?
He has just polished his game over time. And and he's gonna do what he has to do in order for the team to win. As long as him and Paul George are clicking in the same night, you're gonna expect them to be big contributors and lead the Clippers to some kind of success. And they made a joke about him. They said those wasn't eight stitches. Those was like a new chip being put into his body because you know how they call him a robot. And you could see it, what I mean. It was like it was all stoic, what I mean. He it was no nonsense, just go to work. And he was able to show that even with the mask on, even though that mask was scary, how his game looks more scary.
Yeah, imagine that.
Yeah.
As for Portland, this was a tough loss for them. Dame clearly wasn't on his game. He was the shots that he usually makes, he was missing. He went 0 for 8 from the 3-point line. And when your star players shooting like that, you're not gonna win.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is an aberration for Dame. Every star player has bad games like this, so I'm not worried about that.
But yeah, and you can see with most of his points that he got in this game were from the free throw line. So that goes to show you that he was still being into that mode of trying to get into a rhythm by doing the things he usually constantly do. But yeah, again, that also gives credit to the Clippers defense. The Clippers defense was hounding him from doing what he wanted to do. You see, they was all over him. The moment they felt like he's about to take a shot, they were there. The moment he attacked the rim, like 4 bodies was on him. But also to give him credit to from that is the fact that just like what we saw in the bubble, when people were trying to do that to him when he was going on a tear and trying to double team and triple team, he was able to create space for his other teammates to get open. You know what I mean? And he was able to pass the ball out. You know, he was working well. Like we always seen him and Nurkic do well with the pick and roll combo. So
Mm-hmm.
like, it's nothing much to be said. But he was able to try to find opportunities for his teammates to get easy buckets when he couldn't get himself going.
Yeah. I mean, it works out for him all the time,
Yeah.
except for when you go against the Lakers. But and the Clippers
Belated.
and last night's team. But yeah, I no worries about Lillard. He's gonna be fine. He's gonna be great. CJ played well.
Yeah.
Melo had a
Melo was balling.
really he was really sparking off when he came into the game in the first quarter off the bench.
Yeah.
But for them to win, they're gonna need them to play great and play good for them. And that didn't happen last night, and as a result, they lost.
He's the heartbeat. He's the catalyst of this team. If he's not going, CJ is always gonna owe, like, even though he's at times inconsistent also, like CJ is gonna always step up big when needed to try to help his team lift. But you need Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard is your high impactful guy. If he's not going well, there's a likely chance that you may lose this game if he doesn't have the high hand.
Yep, I agree. All right. So any player performances, anything that you noticed, anything that you want to talk about right now that you saw from last night?
Well, I watched the Hawks versus Nets game, and the Hawks were doing really good defensively. They limited they in the beginning they limited KD and Kyrie. They didn't have much points until that fourth quarter. And I go show you until that fourth quarter, like, you know what I mean? Then
Yeah.
that was their time in which, like, KD and Kyrie came alive. Kyrie was KD of course had a better game than Kyrie. Kyrie
Kyrie
had,
was
like,
not having his best game up until the
yeah,
fourth quarter.
up to the fourth quarter, he only had like 3 field goals, and then he just went off. Like, you know what I
Yep, he had
mean?
17 in the fourth quarter.
He went off. He was doing what Kyrie does in order to help his team win. And KD is still going to be KD.
Mm-hmm.
And Torian Prince had a good game. Jared Allen, he was fighting down there in the paint, like, trying to help his team get second opportunities. Like, it was just a comeback that was made to be. But give credit to Atlanta Hawks. They had it going. They were shooting. They were shooting. They have a lot of shooters on their team. They were creating space and they were playing defense.
Yeah. It's just that you can see that their experience factor and their awareness and everything on the court is lacking a little bit. They need to. You clearly see their young team, especially with the fourth quarter mistakes that they were making. And I feel like that's gonna improve over time. But this was a great test for them.
Yeah,
This
it
was a
was
really great test for them because they're trying to make that next step. They're trying to be playoff contenders, possibly even more. And with the offseason moves they have, and with the leader that they have in Trae Young, they need these type of losses to understand to help them better themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this was a great learning lesson by KD and Kyrie. This is a great learning lesson for them.
Yeah,
I feel like they're only going to improve on this.
No, they are. They're going to come back from this. And
Yeah.
Trae Young and John Collins, the young duo, they combined for 60. So
yeah,
that's the thing too.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Happy birthday to the greatest player of our generation. Like, you know what I mean? The man is 36 years of age
Happy
now.
belated.
Sorry,
Yeah.
belated. Happy belated birthday. But, like, the man is 36 now, and he's playing like as if he's like 18 again. Like, but yet a more smarter and wiser 18. They went against the Spurs, and LeBron was just doing LeBron things, but the Lakers was just doing Lakers things also. They had a lot of turnovers, but they were still playing their usual common style of basketball, and it was working in their favor. And even though DeJounte Murray and DeMar DeRozan had like 40, 50 points combined, it just wasn't enough. It just wasn't enough for them to come back on the Spurs. Popovich got ejected, and Becky Hammon had to take over as coaching duty.
Shout out to her. She became the first woman's interim coach for the game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, first woman. So congratulations to her, man. And that's history right there. But it just wasn't enough for them to try to make a kind of comeback to help them get close in the game. And the Lakers just took this one. So happy birthday
Yeah.
to the GOAT.
Yep. Happy
Oh, to one
birthday.
of the GOATs. To one of the GOATs. Sorry.
Happy birthday to King James, of course. Yeah, as you said, the greatest player of our generation. And he produced many great moments for us to watch and witness.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just one of the best players of all time.
Yeah.
All right. What I want to talk about was anybody check up on Jaylen Brown. Check up on that man because he was out there balling. I know the Grizzlies are unmanned and don't have Ja,
Yeah.
but 42 is 42, as I like to say.
Yeah.
And he was having their way with them. You know, it was looking bad out there for the Grizzlies defense. They had no answer for him. He was out there balling. He's a young star, and him and Tatum. I'm telling you, they're really going to be dangerous. I feel like they're really going to be dangerous.
And you can see he has progressed.
Actually, Mo, let me correct myself. They're already dangerous. They good. He's just got to get worse. He's got to get worse for the league.
You're not lying, and especially the experience that they have at their ages is crazy. How far that they have been at that young.
Yeah.
Tatum 22, Brown I think 24, and
And they already been in game sevens before. They've already been to Eastern Conference Finals before. They have all the playoff experience that some people don't even have yet, or
exactly,
have the entire career. Like that's crazy.
exactly, and that gives thanks to the Celtics organization, a historical organization who's just
Mm-hmm.
built on winning, and that gives in their development, and also you could just see how Jaylen Brown has constantly gotten better each and every year. And we have already always seen the flashes and the potential and everything, but he's putting it on full display. He put it on full display that second year. I think that second year he put it on full display.
Yeah, when Kyrie and Gordon Hayward were hurt,
Yeah.
or yeah.
Yeah. When Kyrie and Gordon Hayward got hurt, and he took off from there, and but yet he's not at that level yet. But now he's proven that he is at that level possibly, and how him and Tatum are scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember last year I doubted, Celtics paying him that I think 108 million or around that
Yeah.
range, but all my doubts have faded away. All my doubts faded away. I believe in Tatum. I mean, I do believe in Tatum, but I believe in Brown, and I believe in the potential that he can bring. All right. Real quickly, the other thing I want to talk about, I mean, because we have to talk about LaMelo Ball. He had a good game. He had a good game last night. He dropped 22,
Yeah.
and he was making plays, whether that was scoring or passing, as he's been able to do his
Yeah.
entire young career.
Yeah, he was scoring, he was passing, he was he was just contributing. Well, this was like an onslaught for the whole Hornets team. What they were doing was highly disrespectful, but you can see he brings that kind of that energetic feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the moment he step on the court uh, with the ball in his hand, you know that he's gonna help that team score a lot of points. You know what I mean? Off of the fact that his ability to play make, and from there he could use that as in a way to help himself create his own shots or whatsoever. And you could just see it. The whole Hornets team had it going. They was shooting threes. They was getting to the rim. They was playing with energy, and and um the Mavericks are lucky they didn't lose by 50 like how they did to the
Yeah, that was a bad performance by the Mavericks.
yeah.
But the Hornets came to play it. Like the Mavericks, they had energy, but I think they thought that it was like JV. They only had to play for 12 minutes. I don't
the
I don't know
sleeping,
what,
sleeping
like,
on the
why the
horn.
lack of energy. What happened after the first quarter? But
Exactly. Because they probably
nonetheless,
we an established team right now. We made it to the playoffs last year, and we're like this. So and this team is nothing. So
they're gonna put the banner up for being the Clippers by 51.
yeah,
That's their banner.
embarrassing.
But nonetheless, yeah, LaMelo did really have a good game, and we clowned him for having zero. But we want him to succeed. We wouldn't want any young player to not succeed. So
Exactly.
glad that he had his best NBA game so far of his young career. Hope to see many more from him.
Yes.
Because we all know Michael Jordan needs it.
Yeah.
Some great player on his team. Because geez.
And yeah, we need to see that 1-on-1 between him and LeVar.
All right. Time for predictions. I'm just gonna gloss over that. Time for predictions, y'all. Like we always do. New Year's Eve predictions. A few games on for tonight, so we're gonna jump right into it. First game is gonna be on at 3, so keep that in mind. But all right, let's go. The Cavs or the Pacers. Which is the first game. Pacers.
Yes.
Got Pacers as well. Bulls or the Wizards again.
Wizards.
You sure?
No, I'm sure this time. I'm sure I'm not going to be guaranteed on it, but I'm sure this time.
Yeah, I got the Wizards. Real quickly, I saw a meme. It was like, it's great that Westbrook is honoring his 2 jersey numbers, 0 and 4. But, all right. The first game that we'll be covering, which is a televised game on NBA TV, 76ers or the Mavericks. Magic.
I feel like the Magic are going to lose. I got the Sixers.
I'm a believer in the Magic. I got the Magic. The Kings or the Rockets?
Rockets.
I got the Kings. The Knicks or the Raptors?
Raptors.
I got the Knicks. I'm not saying that because I'm a Knicks fan. I got the Knicks. All right, they can win this game.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's saying this. Just look at his hat.
First of all, the Raptors have not been playing that well.
Yeah, you're right. They haven't been playing that well, but it's a great time to
still win for the Knicks.
Yeah, it's a great time
to win.
You're probably not gonna make the playoffs though anyway, so it don't even matter.
Now that's a hater. Pelicans or the Thunder?
The Thunder have actually been playing good. I'm gonna go with them.
I'm gonna go with the Pelicans. I think they bounce back from that embarrassing loss against the Suns. Oh, yeah, speaking of the Suns, the next televised game to talk about on NBA TV, Suns or the Jazz?
The Jazz.
I got the Suns. I think this would be a good matchup between 2 possible playoff contenders. Mm-hmm. So it'll be a good test for both teams.
Yeah, in the guard situation too. Booker versus Mitchell.
Yeah. Two bright stars in this league.
Yeah.
But all right. Now I think it's time to wrap things up. Any final thoughts?
No, just happy New Year's Eve.
Yeah, happy New Year's Eve. Hope everyone's enjoying themselves. Everyone's staying safe. And I'm glad that we can provide you with good basketball content. But for now, thank you guys for watching today's pod. Make sure you tune into tomorrow's podcast, New Year's Day. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. And once again, I am Evan.
And I'm Ja.
And this was the Mind of Basketball Podcast.